Hi everyone, Emily here from Emily Reads, and today I have for you my May TBR. So first, I want to apologize for the halo light above me. I live in central Illinois. It's been really awful weather, very cloudy, very gloomy. Yesterday we had severe thunderstorms and we're under tornado watches pretty much all day. I don't know if we had a tornado. I managed to dodge that. I was out of town, but we're just in spring, crummy weather, tornado weather season. So I'm trying to figure out where and how to light these videos in my apartment. That being said, I have my May TBR, and I have 5 books for sure that I plan on reading, and then the rest are kind of I really want to read. I want to prioritize them. If I have time in May, I will get to them. It is the last month of the school year. Things get busy. You think that, oh, things are winding down. No, the last month is actually one of the busiest months because we have final exams that I still have to write and prep students for. I have some projects that I want them to do. And I still need to work on putting together. I have a couple IEP meetings, progress reports, end of the year stuff to wrap up the classroom, to get it ready so the maintenance can come in and do their deep cleans during the summer. So it's a busy time of year. So I don't know what I'll get to. I'm gonna plan for a lot and hope for the best. And if I don't get to it, that's okay because June is coming. But that being said, let's dive in and take a look at what I plan on reading. So the first book I plan on finishing is A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. I started this last month and I put it down because I was enjoying it, but it wasn't going as fast as I wanted it to. So I'm going to compare Ursula Le Guin to Frank Herbert in that they both create very elaborate worlds and very elaborate systems within their world, whether it's political or magic, and they drop you into that world and they don't really explain it to you. You just discover it as the story unfolds and you piece things together. And that's kind of what Wizard of Earthsea is. And I took part in the Realmathon readathon, and I wanted books where I could just kind of whip through them, so that way I could earn points for my team. And so this is not a fast or easy read, simply because it is very epic. It is very it reminds me of the Odyssey and the scope of, and it's the very episodic in nature, and so that's why I just needed to put it down last month so I could just blaze through some books. And now I hope to finish this off. I probably will work on this on weekends when I have more time to just sit in chunks of time to read. The next book that I plan on reading is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, which I've already started reading. This. I'm on page 69 and I'm already really enjoying it. I know it's not everyone's favorite, so we'll see what happens. So far I'm enjoying it. And this is a story where people used to go through what's called the Shode, and I could be pronouncing things wrong. I apologize. I'm not listening to an audio. And I haven't heard too many people talk about Elantris other than it wasn't their favorite. So hopefully I'm pronouncing things right. If I'm not, please correct me. So the people in the city of Kay, which is the capital of Arlon, some can go through what's called the Shode. And when they go through the Shode, it's a transformation and they become like demigods. And they move to Elantris and people worship them. Well, that was 10 years ago. Now, Elantris is this decrepit, decayed city where if you end up going through the Shode, you don't become a demigod. You basically are dead. And I don't feel like I'm giving anything away, as this is on the back of the book. So it's kind of like what happened with Elantris, what happened to the prince, why did that, um, and what is life like now for people in Elantris. I'm intrigued. I'm already seeing some tie-ins to other parts of the Cosmere. I've only read Mistborn Era 1, and I'm already seeing like a couple of tie-ins where I'm like, how is that connected? So it's interesting. Then next, I don't plan on reading the whole book of Briefcases by Jim Butcher. Instead, I plan on reading some stories from Briefcases and from Side Jobs. I've already read Stormfront, Full Moon, and Grave Peril, the first 3 books in the Dresden Files, and I plan on going back and reading the short stories that I missed that should have been read before those, and interspersed through those novels. So someone had posted in one of the Discords that I'm in a link that took me to the reading order for Dresden Files if you want to read it in chronological order. So I plan on reading like 3 or 4 short stories in the Dresden Files, just kind of as palate cleansers, like between Elantris, between Wizard of Earthsea, between the next book. So the next book that I plan on reading, Dragonhaven by Robin Hobb, and I'm not going to go too much into this book simply because I really have no idea how to describe this book without a whole ton of spoilers, not just for Rainwild Chronicles, but for the entire realm of the Elderlings. As this is the 2nd book in the Rainwild Chronicles and the 11th book in the realm of Elderlings. But my goal is to read a Robin Hobb book a month. That might be blown in the summertime when I have more time, and I cannot wait to get to Fitz and the Fool. So who knows, that might get blown out of the waters, and I might just finish Realm of the Elderlings this summer. Who knows, we'll see. But I have already really started enjoying Dragon Keeper. I know so many people don't like Rainwild Chronicles compared to the rest of the Realm of the Elderlings, but I really am liking some of the themes that she's developed, and I really like Thymara. I'm curious to see where she goes. I'm worried for her, so I'm looking forward to diving into this again. Then the last book that I for sure plan on reading, and I don't have a physical copy of this book, and I don't know how to I don't know how to edit and post it like above, and so I apologize for that. I'm hoping this summer to learn how to do those things somehow. But the next book I plan on reading is A Woman of No Importance, The Untold Story of the American Spy Who Helped Win World War II by Sonia Purnell. And I will just briefly read some of the synopsis. So this is the never-before-told story of one woman's heroism that changed the course of the Second World War. In 1942, the Gestapo sent out an urgent transmission. She is the most dangerous of all Allied spies. We must find and destroy her. The spy was Virginia Hall, a young American woman rejected from the Foreign Service because of her gender and her prosthetic leg, who talked her way into the spy organization deemed Churchill's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and before the United States had even entered the war, became the first woman to deploy to occupied France. Virginia Hall was one of the greatest spies in American history, yet her story remains untold. And it goes on, the description kind of goes on to describe a little bit more of what she did. Apparently, she is known as the Madonna of the Resistance. So I am intrigued. I really enjoyed the Alice Network, and so I really am curious to read that. Then the rest of these books are kind of Sorry, my back has been bothering me, which is why I'm shifting around. I'm curious to see the next 4 books are things that I really want to read and want to prioritize. One, I'm kind of like, I will be honest, I don't really want to read, but it fits a prompt on a reading challenge. But we will start with one that I do really want to read, and that is Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, and this is a Hercule Poirot mystery. And I want to read this because the movie is now streaming, and I cannot watch the movie until I read the book. And I really enjoyed And Then There Were None. I remember growing up and watching on TV Murder Under the Sun and really enjoyed that movie. That was on TV years and years ago in the 80s. I remember I enjoyed watching Murder on the Orient Express when it came out. So I'm not allowed to watch the movie until I read this book. The next book I want to read is, I'm going to totally mispronounce it, Kai Kai by Vaishnavi Patel. I apologize if I mispronounced any names incorrectly. Sincerely apologize. But I've heard some really good things about this. And I'm going to just read the beginning blurb. It says, I was born on the full moon under an auspicious constellation, the holiest of positions. Much good it did me. And so this is the story of Kaikei, who is the second wife of a man, I believe, and just kind of her bid to help her son to maintain the power, if I'm understanding correctly, the backstory. Again, if I'm wrong on that backstory, please correct me. But I've heard really good things about this book. I'm excited to read it. And another book group that I'm a part of on Facebook, in July, they had announced that there's going to be a Zoom meeting with the author of the book. So I have to read this book so that way I can participate in that Zoom. And then this is like where now I hit my very ambitiousness. I don't think I'll get to these 2 books in May, but they're there if I need something to read. And one is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and this is the story set in 1969 when Chase Andrews, he's found dead, and the people suspect Kaya Clark, who kind of has lived on her own in the marsh, and so because she's kind of outcast, they suspect that she is the one who killed Chase, from what I gather. It got a lot of praise when it came out. A lot of people loved this book, and I am one of those people that the more hype a book gets, I usually don't like the book. And I'm usually more and more resistant to reading the book. So that's kind of why I'm like, I don't know if I want to read this. And I think partly because there have been some books that were just super hyped that I ended up not liking. I DNF'd Anxious People. I DNF'd Mr. Penumbrum's 24-Hour Bookstore. I was thoroughly disappointed with Hamnet. So that's why I'm kind of like, with this, I'm like, do I really want to read it? I don't know. But I had good experience with Six of Crows in April. So hopefully I like that. And then finally, I need to read this so that I could read the sequel, which is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Now, first of all, I've heard so many things about the first chapter of this book, so it's got a lot to live up to now because of that. But this is a story that is inspired by pre-Columbian Americans, so that right there just really intrigues me. And basically, in the holy city of Tova, 3 lives are converging during a solar eclipse. prescribed by the sun priest as an unbalancing of the world. Meanwhile, a ship launches from a distant city bound for Tova and set to arrive on the solstice. The captain of the ship, Ziala, I probably mispronounced that name, is a disgraced teak whose song can calm the waters around her as easily as it can warp a man's mind. Her ship carries one passenger. Describes as harmless, the passenger, Serapio, is a young man, blind, scarred, and cloaked in destiny. As Yala well knows, when a man is described as harmless, he usually ends up being a villain. So, I'm looking forward to reading this, so that way I can then read the next book that came out in March. Also, please understand if I mispronounce any names, I have not heard these names pronounced at all. Like, I've heard people rave about this book, but I have not heard the names. And I don't do Audible. I can only do audiobooks if I've read the book and I'm familiar with the story. I cannot read a book for the first time through Audible or audiobooks simply because I just can't focus. And so when I hear a story on Audible for the first time, my brain sometimes just wanders, and then I'm like, wait, what just happened? Like, I'll realize like 15 minutes I was thinking about something else, and then I have to go backtrack. So it just doesn't work too well for me. I very much am a visual person who needs to see things in order to follow along. So, but that is my May plans. Be on the lookout for my April wrap-up. I don't know when I'll be able to film it. Soon, hopefully. It has been a challenging time for headaches when it's crazy weather, where it's sunny one day, then rainy the next day, sunny one day, then rainy the next day. I struggle with headaches, so my April wrap-up will come out when I am feeling well. So let me know in the comments down below what you're reading. Let me know any thoughts that you have on these books. If I've mispronounced a name, let me know the correct pronunciation, because I don't want to mispronounce anything, because that's important to me to get those pronunciations right. So happy reading and have a good day.